I spoke with the fire chief in the last hour. He tells me police have identified a suspect who reportedly ran into the building with a propane tank. That's when they heard a loud boom and this building erupted in flames. Look at the base of this tree. You can see exactly where it uprooted from the saturated ground. But again, really the crazy part here is how close it is to this house. In fact, the people living inside of that house tell me their house was shaking. They looked outside the window and they saw that this tree had uprooted and fallen. You can also see how close it was to these power lines. When tragedy strikes the police department, it doesn't mean they can stop doing their job. They were still out here across the city knowing that something was happening with their own men and women, and they were out here blocking streets. We are staying on top of breaking news that we've been following while you were asleep. CMPD officers spread out across 3 different crime scenes this morning. The polls open in about 30 minutes, and while we know more than half of registered voters across the state of North Carolina cast ballots during early voting, millions more will still be turning out. The village of Chimney Rock is typically your quintessential mountain getaway in the fall. These streets usually lined with visitors. Right now, that's far from the case after Helene washed away the road. The first question that I think a lot of people have as they wake up this morning is how this could have happened. How was an armed man able to get onto a roof of a building just 130 yards away from the former president? To get a sense for how high the water rose, I'm about 5'6", and this is the water line on the side of her home. I sent a letter to Beth Beamer to the prison where she's serving an 18-month sentence in Raleigh. She responded in a 5-page letter answering all of my questions. Chiefs Kingdom marches into Charlotte for a 1 p.m. kickoff here at Bank of America Stadium. This is a live look from our total traffic camera at the Catalyst building. This stadium, of course, will soon be a sea of Panthers blue and Chiefs red. Tonight, the family of Dustin Weaver is out here combing through what's left of his home. You can see the tornado flattened it, but they tell me they're taking comfort tonight knowing he died a hero trying to save his pregnant girlfriend. First came the 110-mile winds and heavy rain. Next, sheer devastation.
I come to my brother's house and found it like this.
Thomas Perrigan in disbelief when he saw what was left of it.
Where's my brother? Where's my brother? Where's my family? And that's when I got the news that he was gone.
He says his brother Dustin Weaver did not die in vain, rather trying to protect his girlfriend and unborn baby.
He supposedly laid on top of him. He covered him up and he saved him.
An action his brother does not find surprising.
If you needed it, he'd be there to help you when he didn't. You'd have to ask twice.
Weaver's family spent the day looking through rubble, much like many of their neighbors.
I was a firefighter for 8.5 years at the coast, so I've seen all kind of stuff. But to actually go through something like this, I wouldn't want nobody to go through this. Nobody.
As they sift through the damage, there's a lesson to be found.
Tell everybody you love them. Make sure you tell them you love them every day. You never know what's going to happen.
Tonight, many of these neighbors are out helping each other. We've seen people handing out water bottles, even as they work to comb through the rubble of their own homes. Now, we do know 30 people have been displaced by this tornado. The county wants you to know they will keep its shelter open tonight for anyone needing a place to sleep. I'm Caroline Hicks reporting in Claremont, WBTV, on your side.
This is not what Margaret Borg envisioned for her life on Cox Avenue.
Every weekend we're spending power washing our driveways, washing our lawns, cleaning our carpets.
Her home is right next to these new townhomes.
The city has said that if we put a wall in, we might be liable for any damages. So we did a sandbag wall for a temporary fix.
Drew Farney lives a few houses down from Margaret. He works as a civil engineer specializing in stormwater.
Development is, we can't get away from it, but we can't leave the environment or the land adjacent to where we develop in a worse state, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Farney and Borg both bought houses here in 2017. They both installed sump pumps, which they say solved the drainage issues they were experiencing when it rained. But those issues were exacerbated by the start of this construction.
The week that they came in and raised this lot by 5 to 7 feet, we started flooding immediately.
Borg and Farney say they had conversations with the developer Verde Homes before they broke ground.
I made sure to tell them exactly what was happening and what building on this property was going to do for the flooding, and if they could do anything to mediate that runoff would be appreciated.
Did they seem receptive to that?
No.
The developer tied in all of their downspouts into one black corrugated pipe system that channelizes the water and displaces the water at an extremely rapid pace behind the buildings instead of into the street.
Court records show Verde Homes filed bankruptcy in 2023, after which Whitehaven Development acquired the lots. I contacted the CEO for answers.
This is Caroline Hicks with WBTV News.
An attorney for Whitehaven Development sent us a letter referring to the issues as pre-existing drainage conditions, going on to say the properties comply with all City of Charlotte building requirements. I also contacted the city. A spokesperson said this project was not subject to a review by Stormwater Services because these parcels were less than 1 acre and below the threshold required for review. It was also permitted before the new Unified Development Ordinance, or UDO, went into effect in June of 2023, which the spokesperson says significantly enhances the city's ability to mitigate the drainage impacts of infill development. As for Cox Avenue,
The amount of emotional stress that comes every time that it rains,
the city is not intervening.
the existing residents should not be the ones who should have to bear the costs to protect the homes that existed before they came in.
Do you think this points to a larger issue for other homeowners that may end up in a similar situation to the one that you're in?
Absolutely. The rate of which developments are going up, there's no way that there's adequate oversight and checks and balances that are happening along the way.
I also spoke to a construction attorney. He says if you are a homeowner who finds yourself in a similar position, you should take simple steps to start building a case. Like 1, tracking the changes a developer is making and keeping those notes, taking photos and videos for evidence, and contacting the developer in writing to report your concerns as they arise. That helps to establish a timeline. And coming up tonight during On Your Side Tonight, you'll hear more of my conversation with that attorney, and he really lays out what you need to know, what your rights are in a situation like this as a homeowner. The village of Chimney Rock is typically your quintessential mountain getaway in the fall. These streets usually lined with visitors. Right now, that's far from the case after Helene washed away the road. Many of the businesses here either flooded or collapsed into the river.
It's just hard to imagine. I keep thinking I'm going to wake up and this nightmare is going to be over.
For Mary Yeager Gale and her husband Steve, this is their reality.
All of this was filled with great stuff: hand-loom rugs, handmade bird feeders and houses, local crafts.
Steve's family opened Gale's Chimney Rock shop back in 1947. It's across the road from businesses on the river. They do not have flood insurance, never imagining this was possible.
The airborne guys helped clear the mud out.
They say help came swiftly.
Overnight, people were coming. I mean, people are feeding. People came with mobile kitchens. People gave us so much, really, we had so much support.
But as weeks go by, the future is still uncertain.
You learn what people are made of when the times get tough.
Laura Doster stepped in as interim emergency director for the Hickory Nut Gorge Chamber of Commerce.
They need cash, they need money now.
Doster says, like Mary and Steve, many business owners do not have flood insurance, and FEMA cannot provide direct assistance to small businesses. That's why they're working on opening a 501c3 to directly benefit the shop owners who make these communities what they are.
We want to retain our businesses. It's going to look different for sure, and it's going to be a long haul.
20 miles south of Chimney Rock Village, a makeshift marketplace is forming here at the Tryon Equestrian Center. People who were able to get inside of their stores and bring their items out here are setting up shop, hoping to sell what they could salvage.
We were able to wash things, so whatever we can do to salvage it and make just a little money while nothing's operable, that's a great thing.
A temporary solution while they consider what may come next for Gales.
In our life, this chapter is probably over, and that's heartbreaking too. It's not the way we wanted to end it.
Making plans to restore it and pass it on to a new owner.
And so are you hopeful that one day you'll be able to pass this on and that these memories from Gales will be able to live on?
Absolutely. You know, it may not be Gale's Chimney Rock shop, but it'll be somebody's shop that can pass on the memories, and I hope people will come back and say, hey, when I was a little kid, I was in this shop and I bought like a stuffed Sasquatch or something.
There are so many small business owners needing your help right now. Here at the Tryon Equestrian Center, the marketplace will be set up Thursdays through Sundays. For more details on how you can show support to these communities, go to our website, WBTV.com. I'm Caroline Hicks reporting WBTV on your side.